Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Nick Slavic. I'm the proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company. I'm also the host of this show, Ask a Painter Live. It's a weekly live Facebook show where I use my 2 decades of experience as a craftsman and an entrepreneur to answer any of your questions. Homeowners, DIYers, pros, this is all for you guys. It's a forum where we get together, we share best practices, and we raise the standards of the industry. So today, fun show, packed show. Chris Shank, as usual, from the PCA, the Painting Contractors Association, is going to be here. We're going to have the contractor question of the week. We're also going to go over some of my favorite Sherwin Williams products. So these are things that are in my standard operating procedures. I use every day, and they're reliable, and I'm going to share a whole bunch of tricks on how to use them. So let's bring up Chris Shank first, and let's do the contractor question of the week. Get Mr. Shank up here. Everybody knows the great and powerful Chris Shank. Alex, thanks for watching. Phil Klein. There's Chris Shank.
What's up? How you doing? Can you hear me?
Good, man. How about you?
Good.
That is awesome. Also, I love the new shirts, by the way.
Yeah, it's backwards. We get it. You have to kind of have the brands out there first and foremost. But I know we can't reverse on this side. But yeah, we're really excited about the new shirts. We got our new branding up. So just a reminder to people, it used to be PDCA. Now it's PCA, the Painting Contractors Association. I don't have enough chest for all of that.
Almost, though. If anybody would, you could put it across the two arms like this and you'd have plenty of room.
That's right. PCA. All right. Nick, it looks like you got a lot of cool things going on over there. I'm excited to see it. So I'm going to jump in to last week's question and now this week's question. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. So tell me about EPA registration and lead certification. Are you EPA registered lead certified?
Yes, absolutely. So this is sort of known as the RRP law, the RRP lead paint law, the any number of those things. But basically, the idea is any building older than 1978, any substrate older than 1978 could theoretically have lead paint on it and has to be treated in a certain manner. And there's a whole bunch of precautions for prep, during painting, cleanup, and especially paperwork. Go ahead, Chris Shank.
I'm getting feedback. I don't know if anybody else hears feedback.
You sound pretty dang clear on my end here.
Your voice is going on top of your voice. So anyway, I'm not sure if anybody, maybe you can look for anybody else.
Yeah, guys, comment below if you're having any audio issues.
But continue with what you're saying.
Oh yeah, so basically anything older than 1978, it has to be treated with certain procedures. And I am certified. I've been recertified at least once. I think it might even be twice. But I have deep thoughts about this law because I sort of agree with the procedures. It's something my company would do anyway. It has a whole bunch of precautions for the people actually doing the jobs, respirators, suits, things like that. Precautions for the job site. It's roped off. There's certain ways you have to plastic and catch all the chips. And then there's a certain way to dispose of them and then clean up after the job. So I agree with all that stuff. I also agree with the record keeping. It is sort of kind of a pain in the rear end to keep up with all the records. And when I find that people aren't in compliance, it's usually with the records and not the actual work. So that makes it a little bit of a pain in the rear end. But my biggest complaint about the whole thing is 99% of all my clients have never heard about it. And I would say upwards of 80 to 90% of all the painters that I come into contact with don't know about it or aren't certified. So it creates this problem in the industry where I'm estimating these projects and I am telling these clients that, hey, your house is older than 1978. We have these precautions. Here's an actual information pamphlet from the government to tell you about it. And they've never heard about it. And then they go get 2 other estimates and those painters have never heard about it. And their bids are lower because they don't have to comply with that. So there's this sort of inequity in the market.
Okay, Nick, I just want you to keep going with what you're saying. Let's see if, okay, everybody else is saying it sounds good, okay? I'm having something going on here. I'm going to ask my question and then get off, okay?
You got it.
My next question, okay, here we go. Thank you, by the way, for doing this. Side jobs. How do you manage side jobs in your company? We actually have a podcast called Managing Moonlighters. It's with Nick LaGrasso and I think it was Randy Fornoff. So people can check that out in Paint Ed. But tell me about side jobs. What do you do about that? How do you manage it? And I'm going to hop off because I don't know if I'm messing up sound or not. But thank you for having me on.
Always, Chris. It's always good to talk to you. We'll do it next time.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so lots more deep thoughts on the RRP lead law. If you guys want to comment below your experiences, are you qualified? How much does it increase your estimates, if it does at all? What are your dealings with the clients as far as the RRP lead laws? And we're going to go through a few other things, and I'll dig through these questions, comments, and stuff, and we'll get to them in a little bit. So, side jobs. What I hear all the time, because I'm kind of known for the training part, people always give me this kickback saying, hey, you're going to train all these people, then they're either going to start their own business, they're going to be doing side work on the weekends, things like that. And I say, you know what? The market dictates and their lifestyle dictates if they take on side jobs. So basically, what you have to say is if they're not making enough money at work, or if they're not occupied enough, or if they don't feel like they get enough at work, or there's other better opportunities for them, they're going to go find those elsewhere. So what I try to do is to basically tell my people, listen, no problem. If you want to do side jobs, it's all on you, but you will not use our vehicles, you will not use my clothing, you will not use our equipment, you will not use my trade accounts and anything. You are completely divorced from this company. You've never heard of me, you've never seen me, I don't want you mentioning my name to anybody else. I'm perfectly fine with you doing it, but remember, the one biggest thing, don't associate me with it. And number two, if you get injured while there, there's no work comp. So if you fall off a ladder, if you do something else, my work comp doesn't cover you, and you're not paid for any of those injuries. That's all out-of-pocket stuff. So do you want to risk your job during the week to make a little money on the outside world? And remember, you're taking on the responsibilities of a business owner when you're doing side work. You have to come up with the price, you have to pay for the materials, you have to ensure all the work is good, you have to schedule it, and if they don't like it, if you work for me, hey Toodles, hang tight. I got my little daughter Toodles here too. Hey. All right, you run along, baby. I'll be done in a second. All right, you're taking on that work, and if at the end of that side job the clients don't pay you or don't think you did a good enough job to get paid for, you don't get paid, and you still got to pay for the paint, and you lost out on a weekend. In my company, if the clients file bankruptcy, decide not to pay, you still get a paycheck, and if you injure yourself on the job, you still get work comp. So no problem, but weigh the options. Also, in my company, we are production constrained, basically. So that means there's a ton of work out there. We can sell a ton of work. We can get it on the books. We just can't produce it fast enough. So that means we have a policy in my company right now that's all the overtime you've ever wanted. Any day, any night, any weekend, as many hours as you want to work. As long as you don't destroy your family life, you're free to work whenever you want. So basically, I give my people this option. If you want to work on the weekend and try to make your own way in that, that's fine. Otherwise, you have a van full of tools, you have a uniform, you have my systems, my procedures, my setups, and you have clients already done for you. You can just go make overtime, which is a great thing. So especially when you're getting on hour 60 and you're making 20 hours of time and a half, that's all right. That's a good living. So I play with the market forces to make sure that my people get enough work in the week to take care of that. And then if they want side jobs on the weekend, that's kind of on them. So I got a bunch of young go-getters that do that. And as long as they follow those guidelines, I'm fine with it. So, all right, guys, let me see. Let's go through a few comments here, and then we'll get to my favorite Sherwin stuff. Oh, Adam Larson, how's it going, man? Chris Frazier, thanks for watching. Matt Varga, Pat Coy. Oh, man, Pat Coy. Love Pat Coy. Alex Marchuk, thanks for watching, man. Phil Klein. Okay with side jobs with a few stipulations. None of our company's equipment, absolutely. Can't get work from clients of ours? Good, but can't control that. That's a tough one. Don't wear our company clothing? Absolutely. No account use? Yes. Can rent tools for me if needed? At least a 2-week notice if taking time off from me. Yes, that's good. With the tool rental thing, Phil, I know you. You're a good guy. You mentor your people, you coach them. You're unique in that way. I don't let any of my stuff go out because, even if they rent a ladder from me and fall off it, technically, you could probably still get taken through the ringer on that one there. And that's sort of the thing I do. But I know the kind of operation you run, Phil, and you work very closely with your people. And yeah, trust is a big thing with all that stuff. So let's get to some of my awesome Sherwin Williams stuff. Now, Sherwin asked me to highlight some of my stuff, and I just went through my SOPs, and I basically said these are the things that are my favorite, are the best, are the easiest to use, the longest lasting, the most durable, the coolest, the most innovative sort of things that I've worked into my systems. And I would love to hear what you guys have too. So give me feedback, RRP law, give me feedback what you do for side jobs, and also let's get to this stuff. So number one, duration home. And my favorite within that for an interior wall paint, Duration Home Matte. I love the finish on this stuff. So interestingly enough, Duration Home Matte is sort of paint and primer. You don't need to use a separate primer. This stuff works insanely well, bathrooms, things like that where there's moisture. I've not found a better paint that does water spot resistance better than this. So there's always that proverbial hand towel ring right next to the mirror. You go to wash the hands and you go right for the towel, and about 10 drops of water get on the wall like that. And a lot of times they leave marks. Eventually it just accumulates and looks bad. This stuff not only resists it well, in my experience, but you can wash it insanely well. And the finish is hard, it's durable, and if you guys have ever seen a big long wall with sort of raking light along the side of it, this thing's got a beautiful matte finish. Another thing, if you guys have ever used this stuff, coverage. Coverage is an amazing thing. So one of the things how I rate interior paints, the quality of them is coverage. So if you get a very cheap paint, if you try to go a very light color or a very dark color over an inverse, a lighter or dark color, you'll know that it doesn't cover, it's streaky, it's kind of sticky, things like that. It doesn't cover well. With this stuff, we get awesome coverage. So we've not ran into hardly any situations that need more than 2 coats like that, and you still get that beautiful finish and the durability on it there. So that's a big thing. Also, one of the things that most people don't know about, industry's first washable flat paint. So I like the matte, I like the flat, all good paints. Industry's first flat finish that's washable. So very, very interesting, very, very good. This is worked into my standard operating procedure of my company. We have great systems working with Sherwin. We actually get stuff delivered to my shop, which is great. So we put in orders via email and they show up at my shop. We get great stuff like this. The guys come pick it up, take it to the job site, follow the SOP, and we get awesome results. So I got a cough right here. My apologies, my family's coming down with something, and I'm getting the first stages of it. So, all right, let's go back through, make sure I catch up with the comments there. Oh, Warren King, how's it going, man? Always good to see you. My family, my wife and oldest daughter are actually in New York, probably wandering right past one of your job sites down there. So, okay, second thing, one thing that is almost the mark of a really good, experienced seasoned pro is the use of Loxon XP. So when I see what other pros use, they got all sorts of crazy systems for doing stucco, concrete, brick, block, cement, paneled walls on commercial job sites, things like that. People have all sorts of 3-coat systems, 4-coat systems, mainly based on this is what we've always used. Loxon XP is one of the greatest coating systems that I use. Hi baby, what can I help you with? Oh, okay, baby, I'll be right out, okay? I'll be right there. All right, so Loxon XP, 2-coat system, use it over masonry. One of the coolest things about this product is too, you can coat brand new concrete about a week later. I mean, obviously test for alkalinity and things like that so you don't burn your paint, but this can be applied in as soon as a week after concrete or block or stucco or something else has been put on. This is a 2-coat system. Now this stuff is thick as molasses in February, and you guys have probably seen my feed where I take a paintbrush and you crack the 5-gallon open, you just stick the paintbrush in it and it sits there. Just like a Dairy Queen Blizzard. It's an awesome thing. Super thick, breathable in my experience. It goes on insanely well. We apply it in a couple ways here. We spray it and back roll it, we brush and roll it, things like that. 2-coat system, which is great. A lot of guys use like a masonry conditioner, masonry primer, and then 2 coats of something, maybe even just a regular paint or this. This is just a 2-coat system, and it's my go-to system. An interesting thing about this is I did the local Chamber of Commerce building here 10 or 12 years ago. It's on Main Street, it gets beaten by the south sun, trucks drive by, dirt and everything. That building still looks as good as the day I put this stuff on. So amazing product, and honestly, when people call me about their stucco jobs, their brick buildings or things like that, and they say, how long is this stuff supposed to last? Say, you know what? this is my most bomb-proof coating system. So we look for exterior stuff, you know, decks obviously have a certain recoat time. Exterior house paint, even when you do full oil primes and 2 top coats of stuff, they still have a maintenance regimen of, you know, so many years. This is by far my most secure coating system and the one I feel best about. When we do 2 coats of this, I've never seen a failure. So we have very strict SOPs, we have very strict prep processes, but this stuff is a product where I almost look forward to using it on jobs because I know the durability, the finish, the resistance to sort of salt air, heat, humidity, temperatures, dirt and things like that is amazing. And it is one of those, I don't want to call it like super sneaky or super secret products because it's there and a lot of people use it, but not enough people use it for how good this thing is. And it's just an insanely good product. And yeah, I love putting my name on projects like this. So let's see if I got any other notes about that. Yeah, like I said, no priming. One less coat compared to what most people do. Yeah, and quick. And it also has this beautiful sort of, I don't want to call it like a low luster or a matte finish, but it's got a little something to it, and it's a beautiful, attractive finish. And in my experience, you know, if you're doing a 2-coat system and you apply it at the correct wet melt thickness, you really don't get a lot of flashing and stuff too. It builds up so nicely. And in Minnesota, we have a problem with stucco, things like that, with moisture issues where hairline crack will develop or moisture will get behind stucco, freeze and thaw, and then pop the stucco. We've had some horrible examples of that in Minnesota. Stucco down south is awesome because it's termite resistant and it's more durable, but up here we get those moisture issues, and this stuff fills those little hairline cracks because it's so thick, and it's really sort of let's see, it's movable, it's pliable, it flexes with the stuff. So when we do have those freeze-thaw cycles, moisture can still go in and out, but it'll move with it. It's got a little give to it. So, excuse me. Okay. So, emerald trim urethane, super cool product. For those of you who want to check out a full job done by this, you can use the hashtag cottage cabin. And you can look to about 2 years ago when this stuff was first coming on the market. Could even be 3 years ago now. I was one of the first people in the country to do an entire new construction project with this stuff, the emerald trim urethane. For that one, we spec'd out a satin, but we regularly use semi-gloss and satin. And it was a brand new built cottage in northern Minnesota, wilderness lake cabin, but it was styled after like a 1915 sort of traditional home up there that would be on a lake. The cool thing about that job was the client chopped down a bunch of trees, milled all the interior millwork, applied it himself with his son-in-law, and then I got to finish it all with this stuff. And we used a combination of hand finishing, spray finishing, which is super cool. The exterior of that house was actually oak, hand-cut shakes applied, and then we used Sherwin Williams log oil on it. But with this stuff, what was interesting, I partnered with Sherwin Williams on that house to do a show house of the finest finishes for new construction that we could do. And we did this on the trim, and the coolest part about that was, yes, it was like a product that really wasn't released yet. Yes, we were one of the first ones to use it, and it looks cool, it applies great, but the coolest thing was I had about 4 or 5 craftspeople with me, and we're living in the wilderness of northern Minnesota. And every day that we could save up there would get these people home to their families sooner. And the coolest thing about emerald trim urethane is 4-hour recoat. So a lot of the Elkin waterborne sort of hybrid things suffer from a long recoat time. So some of them as much as 8, 12, 16, even 24 hours. This, we were able to sand it in 4 hours and then reapply our stuff. So what that means is me and 4 other craftspeople, once all the trim was primed in that house with oil primer, we did our SVT process, sand, vac, and tack. We applied 2 coats of this on every door, window, baseboard, beadboard, ceiling, crown molding, everything in the house twice in a day. And that meant that, with longer stuff like, traditional oils or other people's hybrids, we would have had to wait overnight and then coat it again. We coated it all, and that saved us an entire day for 5 or 6 people up there in northern Minnesota. We'd get back home to our families. So waterborne formula with the sort of finish of like an old Elkin. For anybody who's ever used this stuff, you can vouch for that. Recoat time in 4 hours keeps those jobs moving. Fade resistance too. and color sort of fade resistance. I've not seen this stuff yellow yet, and I've been using this for many years now. That's the sort of old problem with oils and lacquers and things like that is, you know, they would yellow. Depending on how much sun, how much shade, if they're inside of a cabinet or wherever they are, you can get some fading or some yellowing in there. And honestly, we've done emerald trim urethane, the semi-gloss, black doors in a 10,000 square foot new home, and awesome. Scratch resistant. I haven't seen one fade yet, even though those things are in direct sun, things like that. Let's see what else. And obviously, you know, it is a trim enamel, a true trim enamel, so, you know, high traffic stuff. If you got those doors that are frequently used, cabinets, trim, things like that. So, yeah, and I just thought we had some in the shop here. I thought I would share a little bit with you guys because these are pretty satisfying finishes. You know, I love this stuff. I hope the light is right on that, but that's good stuff. So, okay, let's go through, see if we got any comments. Otherwise, we will call it a week. So I'm on actually day 3 of, my wife's in New York with our oldest daughter, and I got my 3 youngest kids, and I'm sort of playing business owner / daddy housekeeper this week. So it's been kind of fun to hang out with the kids and get work done when I can, you know. So, oh, Matt Varga. I like what you have to say about the jobs. I'm not a fan of allowing it myself, and I personally don't engage in it, but I loved your input. Absolutely. So as a business owner, what I always do is, you know, there's decisions you make personally because you like the people that you employ or work with, and there's business owner decisions where you just can't do certain things for liability reasons, and you try to blend the two to make everybody happy. So, Warren King, love duration, absolutely. Eric Bailey, thanks for watching, and Ryan Kohler. All right, guys, thank you so much for all this. I'll be on here later. We'll be going over any questions or comments. If you want any other tips and tricks on how to use this stuff, my standard operating procedures, things like that, comment later. If you guys want to talk about any topic at all. So we're talking about Sherwin Williams stuff today, some of my favorite products in my SOPs. We're talking about the RRP lead law, and we're talking about side jobs. Anything else you guys want to talk about, I'm always here for you. And anybody who's direct messaged me, know that I will lend you any experience, any information, any data that I have, because we are all in this together, raising the standards of the industry. So thank you all for watching. Paul Seguenza, thank you so much for watching as well. And I'm going to go back on family time here, take the kids home, have a little lunch, and then back tapping away, keeping the business running. So, all right, everybody, have a good weekend. Thank you all for watching. It means the world to me, and we'll see you next week.